thank you everybody for being here. Brandon, nice to finally meet you today and connect.
Likewise.
I guess we'll just open with a short bio and then we'll just get it rocking. You want to go first?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon Deroche. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Propeller, which is something to give you some context, I've been working at the intersection of social impact and culture for about 16 years. And that was after 6 years of playing in a band and touring the US and Europe and never really making it, but having a good time doing it and really understanding the power that music has to create change in the world. I ended up starting Propeller as an effort to work with more established artists who already had a following and get them to inspire their fans to support causes that they cared about. And so I've been doing that work since 2015 at Propeller. And a couple years ago, it was just a light bulb for me, since I've been passionate about psychedelics since high school, really. Why are we not supporting psychedelics as a cause? It just was not something that I ever really saw. I didn't ever think of it as a traditional cause. And so a few years ago, put my head together with a friend, and we started putting together what became Portal, which is all around the idea of destigmatizing the responsible use of psychedelics, educating people about their benefits, and advocating for legal accessibility, really just applying the idea of music and culture and really helping support this movement. So Portal's been a labor of love for the past couple of years, and really this year's like when it's become full on. And as Jacob mentioned, we just threw a big bicycle day event at Meow Wolf in Denver with about 1,000 people and 20 some DJs and magicians and tarot and all kinds of things that happen there. And we're going to be starting monthly events in Denver that again, it's so nice to see District216 and everything that's happening here. And I feel there's so much parallel between what Jacob's been working on with District216 and this community and what we're building with Portal. So happy to be here.
Awesome. My name is Torkom. I'm an LA native, and I think any real story, you have to get to the core of like why we do things, why we create solutions. For me, I'm a part of a generation where they like overly drugged kids. You know, there's something wrong with you. You're not paying attention. Take some Ritalin. So really early on, I was like, okay, drugs are bad, except the ones you give me, and those make me feel like shit. So sure enough, by 20, you know, I was like, am I meditating? Is it working? Am I doing this right? I was a seeker, and I was an enrichment teacher for LAUSD. I taught kids how to make electronic music, and set aside, 17, 18, when I started smoking, I would play for my brother's friends, like 2 a.m. I'd just compose for hours. So just to speed up the story, for the last 12 years, I've created something I call quantum harmonics. It's a synthesizer-based approach, philosophy, ecosystem that's a consistent, reliable platform that allows me to explore emerging frequencies, tones, and qualities that are found within sound, acoustic phenomena of sound. I have a great pleasure of performing 3 minutes at the end of our talk, where we're going to kind of drop into a coherent space together. I'm also going to be performing an 8 to 9 p.m. set with new music that's never been heard by people because I wrote it like 4 days ago. And then from 10 to 12 upstairs, I'll be plugging in the Solo Dome guys. Shout out to the Solo Dome guys. And Isaac Sabu with BioTune. So you guys can basically, have a really awesome after hours experience being immersed in sound and frequency. But just to conclude, it's been my passion and my really focus to elevate and take this experience out of what has been festivals. I brought this to Lightning in a Bottle in 2018-19, Lightning stage, main stage. I'm honored that they even opened that up. But from the last 12 years, it's been everywhere from ER to veterans to cancer patients. And honestly, that's what rewards me the most, is giving people who otherwise wouldn't have a trip or a psychedelic experience an access point to trippy visuals in their mind, processing emotions, and just moving with the continuum of life. So as long as that's a process and we're now, then I will always show up to kind of be a part of that. So that's what I love to do most. And I'm honored to be here alongside Brandon and have this awesome chat with you.
Thank you, Torkom. Well, just to jump in, I'm curious, Torkom, what was the first, or what is one single music and psychedelic experience that you've had in your life that stands out to you?
There's been a few, obviously, but if I had to pick one, it would be Coachella. It was 2006, I believe. My partner, Michael Strauss, on visuals in the back, he was there. I'm sure some of you were there, and a family member, I'm not going to name who, but was there, older. And he opened his hand, and there was a blue pill, and he said, "We're going to take this, and we're going to go see Daft Punk." I said, "Who the fuck is Daft Punk?" And that night changed my life. Obviously, when I got there and I heard the music, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is Daft Punk." But I went into it totally, first time doing anything, first time whatever, Coachella, main tent, Daft Punk. And honestly, just dancing, unlocking the pyramid they had built was still to this day one of the most incredible, iconic sets. It truly transformed. I experienced like a psychedelic music transformation in that 2-3 hour set. And I've just been trying to relive and like bring that magic, what they offered, through my work as well.
A legendary set.
How about yourself, Brandon?
Also, many music and psychedelic experiences, and these days are much different. But funny, I mean, I think for me, Coachella was also a big one. And it was 2009. I went with my boss, and we took acid. And I was not that excited. Paul McCartney was the headliner. Weirdly enough, was not that excited about that. And it was one of the most transformative experiences I've had on psychedelics. It was just so powerful to have 100,000 people singing Hey Jude, with some really good friends. And so that moment sticks out to me a lot.
So you started Portal, and it's about bringing people together. It's about, it's one thing to go and have an experience on your own and put on headphones or close your eyes, wear an eye mask. It's an entirely different to have an experience with others. And typically people associate tripping in public with like, that's too much, that's overload, right? But you're doing something different. And this kind of intersects with what I've been doing as well, which is bringing people together, but they each have their own internal dive, but as a collective. And that actually really plays into like a Vedic science, meditation, coherence effect. So do you want to speak about like what motivated you to have that shift, and how do you view the culture, where it's going, and this idea that when we come together there's like an amplified effect?
For me, I mean, I think when I was younger, psychedelics and going to festivals and all that was common for me. And I think the older I've gotten, it became much more of an inward thing for me to experience. And if I eat mushrooms these days, I'm not often in public. It's something that I'm doing in the privacy of my own room with, a blindfold on or an eye mask on and listening to psychedelic therapy playlists and different music. And that for me has been so transformative, and it's an experience that I want other people to have. And so I think there's something really powerful about creating that environment and creating a container for people to be able to go and be in a safe space amongst other people that are all of the same mind and can really be part of a community and have the opportunity to share their experiences afterwards and then properly integrate what they experience into their everyday lives.
Just made me think of a story. It was a Lucidity Festival. It was like 10 years ago. And I had strung up my speakers in the trees, and I ran power down the branches and down the bark. And I had a little like perimeter, and the music stopped at 12. So you heard the music go, phew. And then that's where everyone's like, what are we going to do next? And that's when I cranked up my sound. So whoa, this drone, and just like termites or something, like everyone flocked to this tree, And it was like 75 people. I closed my eyes because I meditate when I'm doing my sessions. I'm closing my eyes and I open my eyes, and there was like 85 people in front of me. And it was one of the greatest memories because I felt that chaotic energy of where they all came from. And I literally felt like the mitigation of that, like us coming together 12:30 in the morning and just becoming one unified like organ. And it was so visceral, it was so impactful. People still come to me and say, hey, that one memory was amazing. So that's for me when I realized that like, this is something traditional, but this is really the way forward, is especially at this post-COVID era. Like we got to come together and we get more out of it,
Can we dive into a bit of the science behind your work and music when it comes to healing?
So there's so much frequencyism stuff out there. We talk about frequencyism. 528 this, solfeggio that, this frequency does this frequency does that. And on the pursuit of trying to get to the bottom of that, I've actually had to like disengage and unload so much misinformation. It's just so confusing. countless people come to me, hey, I want to produce music this kind of way. I want to have these solfeggio frequencies. What's the best approach? I tell them, start over. Like, don't even, because it's a very limiting box. And there's also nothing really, if you start to study the physics of sound and music, the phenomena of even hearing is so incredible. The fact that out of all the sounds, your brain is processing and isolating my voice, his voice, her voice, that plane, and it's giving you immediate response on distance, amplitude, wavelength, frequency, and that's all happening whether there's 5 or 100 people. And so the brain is truly, such an incredible vehicle and technology. But sound can affect us physiologically, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Sound can unlock memories. Sound can open us up past the blocked heart and make us feel emotions. And then, of course, the new and emerging field of vibroacoustics. Shout out to BioTune and the Solodome is the new delivery of hardware that actually makes you feel and be immersed in these sounds. And the real magic of it, here's the secret to what's healing about it. If it feels good and it's like taking you to a space that both mitigates your active thinking mind, but also takes you on a journey at the same time, like it calms you, but gives you a thing to ride. Like that's a good vehicle. If it's just some frequency that's like, boo, it's like, oh, it's my mitochondria, my DNA, it's just, boo, is it working? Is it doing a thing? That kind of like confusing realm of, is it doing a thing? It's kind of annoying. It sounds like an alarm. Like I try to avoid that. And so I say the healing is in the feeling. Music should make you feel. Music can make you heal, and they're connected. So
I had an experience. This has happened also many times, but I had an experience in the past year where, I listened to a song that was on a psychedelic therapy playlist, and I just couldn't stop listening to the song. I would repeat it and repeat it probably 50 times in the night. It sounded so good. Why does music sound so good on drugs?
That's a great question. It's because if you really think about it, your ears and your hearing, you never turn it off. So when you go to sleep at night, you still have to be like, is there a bear? Is there a tiger? Is something coming for me? So your brain, your ears are always kind of on. And that connects us all the way back to like primitive human days, like the rain, the wind, the thunder. These are all indicators of our environment, a threat, etc. So we've evolved, even before being human, the ability to process sound and be impacted directly by sound, by hearing our mother's heartbeat, hearing our parents soothing us, etc. So when you scale up and we're adult, like we're basically grown children in these adult bodies, and there's gravity and taxes suck and all these things. And we put on some music and we're like, wow, it takes us to this place. And I truly think it's because it unlocks a part of our sensory kind of circuitry and emotional body that is ancient and recognizes sound and music to be a vehicle for getting beyond the limited physical mental self. And so I think when you detach from that, like your body has less pain. When you detach from that, you're less connected to like whatever it is, the story that's on a repeat, which is why music and psychedelics especially are such a powerful vehicle, because they serve all of those functions simultaneously and more.
There's been, I feel like, a plethora of compilations of playlists now that you can find on the internet for psychedelic therapy. There's John Hopkins, who had his music for psychedelic therapy. There's artists like East Forest that are making music for these experiences. I'm curious how you craft your sets, your music when it comes to creating a sound journey. Like when you think of someone going on a psychedelic trip, how does that play into how you craft one of these musical experiences?
It's a great question. And without getting too weird on the crowd, aliens taught me. I know that sounds funny. I was in a really, really prolific ceremony, and I was like, can I bring my box? They're like, yeah, bring it. It's like 12, 13 years ago. And so I brought it, and I started playing sounds, and everyone was going on a journey. And I got these downloads, like, I know it sounds crazy, but it was like messages. It was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I'm going to do it. It was working through my hands. It was showing me the way. And it was like, you'll get software OS updates. If you just stay on it, you'll get updates every few years. And so what's been incredible is this system that I call, it's taught me. Like I've had to step out of the way, and I show up and it's 5 people, 100 people, 500 people, whatever it is, one person. And the act of doing it teaches me. And I've done it thousands of times. And every time is a continuum. It just doesn't stop. It's like a lifelong commitment to show up. turn it on, let the sounds come in, close my eyes, I tune inward, and then it shows me everything I need to know. And that has to do with the range of topics that includes low, mid, high range frequencies, the usage of harmonic overtones, white noise versus brown noise, tension and release, storytelling narratives, rising and falling, expanding and compressing, and like millions of other stories. The sun rises, the sun falls. Something goes this way, then it goes that way. And so by listening to this storytelling, closing my eyes and letting my fingers become these like tentacles, like octopus tentacles that just do their own thing, after a few minutes, there's like an intelligence. It kind of awakens. It's in every person. It's in all of us. And it's through this intelligence that I unlock in each of my sessions. I don't plan. I don't have a script. I don't have a set list. My 8 to 9 set today, I have a set list because it's a music set. But the frequency stuff, it's really about like show up, and I have no plan. And by trusting that, I'm over the fear. I'm like, I'll just jump in anytime, and it just is like a continuum. So
I've nerded out a bit on some of this recently, and I'm just curious. I don't know how much people are familiar with it, but when it comes to things like that you mentioned, like a white noise or brown noise and some of these different frequencies, can you explain a little bit more of the impact that those have?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think we're at the 16-minute mark. So time flew by. So I'm going to perform some sounds, including white noise. So just to piggyback off of this, I have no idea what I'm going to play, but it's an invitation to all of us, whether you're just walking through or you've been sitting here. We're going to just close our eyes for like 2-3 minutes and see what happens, come together and bring our awareness into a single moment. Everybody, make a nice intention for yourselves, your friends, your family, your loved ones, cats, dogs. Take a deep breath into the body and release a sigh. And just do that 2 more times on your own and just drop right in. slowly coming back to the room. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning inward. Let's bring our focus and awareness around pure compassion, love, gratitude to everything that we've been through that's gotten us to this moment. For without the music, the psychedelics, and the teachings, the wisdom, then what are we? And so through compassion, gratitude for our life, everything that has brought us to this moment, we continue the forward momentum of our lives, wishing the best, the greatest for each of you. Thank you for tuning in.